Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Franklin Schaffner's Planet of the Apes in 1968. So here we are with the Blu-ray. This is the original Planet of the Apes in 1968, and yes, here we are with the entire. What I'm going to be doing is reviewing all the Planet of the Apes films in chronological order, and then I'll be doing a ranking at the end. I was going to be doing this probably December because I rewatched the entire, the reboot trilogy. I picked up War is Lit then as well, and I rewatched the first two. Watched them back last December. So I thought, I'll probably do that again this year, but with the entire franchise. And I actually got a request from a subscriber to do this. So I thought, I'd do it earlier. And here we are. I have this, and as well, of course, I actually have borrowed this box set here. So this comes with, all the original sequels, Battle for and all that kind of stuff. And of course, yes, the Tim Burton one, and Rise of the Planet of the Apes, but I'll be watching them last two on, on other devices in better quality. And then, of course, I actually own Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes. This is 4K, and yes, they're both steelbooks. So yeah, I'll be watching them as well, of course. So I'll be reviewing all of these ones, and of course we begin with the original, the one that started it all in 1968. Now, watch this again tonight on Blu-ray, and this is probably around my 10th watch of this film. I've seen it a lot of times. The first time I saw it was probably, I was quite young, probably like 8, and I absolutely loved the film. I really just, I was obsessed with this kind of whole idea of it, the kind of thing. It was just a really unique idea, that could have been done really, really badly, and it could have come across, really, really bad on screen, and just, quite a risky film. Of course, the same year, 2001, A Space Odyssey came out, and that's quite interesting. For me personally, there's no comparison. 2001 is much better, but these two films, coming out in the same year, both as well involving apes at some point, and again, no comparison. But yes, this film is regarded as one of the best science fiction films, and among the best films, Of course, the ending is very, very famous. There's many, many different lines throughout the film, that are, kind of really, really iconic if you've not seen the film. And of course, the basic plot, I'm not going to get into really, but of course, Charlton Heston plays Taylor, George Taylor, and he's basically an astronaut, and him and a couple of others crash land, in the future on this, planet, and they kind of travel, kind of try and survive and travel for about 30 minutes, just under that. And they come into contact with these other humans. Of course, they can't talk, they're mute. And they find out, something's going on here. And then they, of course, see these apes appear on horseback. And, of course, very, very quickly you learn that they're a dominant species. And basically, in the future, the apes are taken over and basically treat the humans like... in effect, what apes have been treated by kind of like us at times, in zoos and everything. It's kind of fair that it does happen, and I don't always agree with the idea of a zoo is a bit it is a bit cruel, just the whole idea of it. So yeah, it's basically a very, very clever idea of flipping it, and also of course technically like time travel film kind of thing, and of course just this adventure film. And then one that deals with communication, very, very ingenious ways. And yes, Charlton Heston, a great actor, a great, great actor, and he has been criticised at times for different roles, just as an overall actor, but I really do love him in the things I've seen, from him. Ben-Hur as well, while maybe not a masterpiece film, I think he was great in that. And I've actually got A Touch of Evil on Blu-ray, and he's in that as well, I believe. So yeah, I can't wait to see that. But this film, is probably his most, to many, his greatest role, and he plays the protagonist. And of course, once they get to this place where the apes are taken over, he gets very, very, seriously injured in the neck, the throat, kind of thing, and he's unable to speak, for a lot of the film after that. And of course. There are some apes that kind of side with him and try and help him. Cornelius, Zero, Dr. Zero, that couple kind of, and a couple of others as well. Yeah, basically, the apes, in particular, Dr. Zaius, are trying to basically, do things to him and stop him from, kind of, basically trying to explain himself and kind of that he can speak and all this kind of stuff. Of course, with his injury, he cannot speak for a lot of the film, and very, very ironic there, in the fact that he's trying to communicate with them, but he can't really at times, and he's basically trying to prove himself, clear his name kind of thing, and kind of, explain what's happened, but a lot of them aren't listening to him, and he's taken captive, and the rest of the film, is that, I'm not going to say any more, because that'll be spoilers. His crew, when they arrive, of course, they crash land, and the whole intro to this film is amazing. It's a bit similar to 2001 at times. And the effects, are wonderful, really. Again, nowhere near as good, but I should stop saying that. But yes, basically, the visuals in this film overall are absolutely stunning. Not just the effects that they used, the special effects, just the whole way the landscape shots are captured in the film, and the sunsets and all this kind of stuff, and even just in the jungles and everything. Really, really stunning visuals. This film has really, really amazing cinematography throughout. The editing as well is stunning, absolutely stunning. It's just really, really lovely flow to the film, and combine this with the wonderful score by Jerry Goldsmith, and you've got a science fiction film that is full of wonder, and just very, very atmospheric. But as well, this film, it really is thought provoking. The script in this film is amazing, and just it raises loads of different ideas that really yes, they are thought provoking, and they're kind of very, very human. Some of the lines and dialogue, and just it just gets you thinking, kind of thing, and wonderfully written script throughout. And I love absolutely love the kind of opening scenes to this film, and the way that they're going on this adventure. It's very, very low key at first, and basically it's very, very subtle. It's a really amazing build up to this film. There's a lot of patience throughout this film. Clearly Schaffner knew how to direct really wonderfully. The patience is throughout the film. In terms of how it builds the mystery. You're not afraid to take time to kind of build the mystery and kind of just world building in general. It's kind of just really masterfully done. On these first 30 minutes, and then when they do get to the kind of place where all the apes are running everything, it kind of gets better and better, and then you've got one of the greatest endings of all time, really. No denying that, and just the performances throughout this film are stunning, especially Charlton Heston, of course, as well. Robert Gunner, he was really amazing in this film. The astronauts at the beginning, really, it's just a really, really warm stuff that happens there. I just loved the kind of camaraderie between them, and just the way that the kind of ideas are kind of explored through this dialogue at the beginning. Kind of the arguments, you could say, but not really. And it's kind of just exploring the meaning of life, you could say, and kind of oneself in the universe, and it does that wonderfully. And then of course, all the costumes, the makeup, all this kind of stuff is just wonderful. There's no denying that. It's absolutely stunning, and it's just so well done. The kind of the costumes and everything is just it's stunning, and of course, the way they're built up and everything is just really key here. And of course, there's great humour in the film, which is something I always forget. Actually, it really is very, very humorous film, and that was key. I think. If there wasn't a lot of humour in the film, it would have not been as enjoyable, and maybe not been as believable, you could say. And it's just very, very there's loads of humanity to this kind of the apes that help Taylor, played by Charlton Heston. Especially Zero and Cornelius. They're really, really warm characters, and they're like humans in a way that and stuff, and it just. As well, the humour between them all makes it even better, and more believable. And yes, I think the actual the way the plot unfolds is just so addictive, absorbing. The narrative is just amazing, and just the conclusion it comes to, very, very disturbing for sure, and just epic though. There's no denying that it's an epic film. From start to finish, I absolutely love this film, and. Yeah, it's pretty much flawless. I think There's one bit early on, and really the first half an hour is nowhere near as as good as the rest of the film. It's still pretty much flawless. Aside from one thing, and that is, and it's not a massive flaw, but the if you watch the film, you'll probably know, the kind of mad laugh that Charlton Heston gives, in this film. It just kind of, one of the guys puts the, I think it was Landon, put the flag down in a certain spot, the American flag. It zooms into the flag, and then it shows Charlton Heston giving this laugh. It goes into hysterics, and it's about 10 seconds of the film, and it's just it's weird. It's strange. And it kind of when you actually think about it, it's not completely out of context, and doesn't break the tone too much. It's just a bit too over the top, you could say, that moment. It's a bit random in a way, but yeah, the way he laughs and everything, it could have been maybe less over the top compared, because as the rest of this part was very, very subtle, very, very gradual and everything. It wasn't over the top, and then you come out with this laugh, this mad laugh that he gives, and it is just a bit too much, but that is it really. That is the only flaw really I have with this film. And again, it doesn't take away really from the experience. It's kind of funny in a way, and the fact that the rest of the film really is absolutely masterful and quite mind-blowing throughout most. Really doesn't allow it to take a score off. It's just this one thing, because there's many films I've given full marks, that have maybe got a flaw like this, that kind of doesn't bring the film down, in terms of the score. But yes, this one, really, apart from that, it is absolutely flawless. I think the design of it all, the set design, everything, the costumes, the makeup, all this kind of stuff is absolutely wonderful. All the actual people underneath, it's just stunning. And the cinematography, there's a lot of zooms in this film, and they're used really, really well. And of course, just the way it's edited together is stunning, and yeah, very, very beautiful. The way the kind of landscapes and everything are shot. Very, very, creepy, atmospheric, but as well, it kind of has this kind of grounded feel, and that is just a perfect combination. It's just very, very. At times it has got kind of like a dreamlike feel to it, but it is very, very grounded, and of course, it's a very, very human film, and it's got such a heart to the film, and just the way it explores, communication, is just masterful, really. All the reveals and the kind of moments throughout, that are very, very famous, are famous for a reason. Absolutely stunning. Just the story beats. They happen at the exact precise moments, really, to give an effect, such an effect, and the pace and everything is just wonderful. The flow of this film is just stunning, and really, I loved all the characters. Even Zaius, who is kind of the villain of the film, and it's just, I love how really most of the film kind of uses dramatic irony and, of course, delayed gratification. You want Charlton Heston, to kind of tell them what's happened, kind of thing. And although Zaius is very, very hesitant, throughout the entire film to kind of actually listen to him anyway, you still want this to happen. You still want him to speak. But of course, that kind of moment that happens around a half an hour mark, stops this from happening. Makes it a lot harder and more complex, but just more engaging. More kind of tense, you could say, within the scenes, and they make it more interesting, and really just genius ways to do this, and kind of just delay our kind of the kind of ecstatic feel that you get when he does actually speak, and they hear him speak, kind of thing, and from then on as well, it just gets better and better, really. The action scenes in this film are amazing, really amazing action. The way they're shot, the scenes are stunning, and the way they're put together, and quite brutal at times, definitely. And just very creative, and kind of the balance of the plots of the characters, kind of the action scenes, the adventure feel that it has as well. Just perfect, really, and. I loved the transformation of Charlton Heston, and because it becomes, he goes from kind of this really, really confident, kind of cocky, you could say, guy, at the beginning, sure of himself, and then he becomes, more and more broken as the film goes on, and of course, the ending, you know, it's just one of the most shattering and disturbing endings you ever see. You know, and just a stunning ending. You know, it's the best Planet of the Apes ended for me probably. And yes, could be the best Planet of the Apes film. I'm not going to reveal yet. You know, and you know, to the ones really that are in, of course, competition are Dawn or War for the Planet of the Apes. You know, I'll reveal now. Of course, the sequels. You know, the original sequels are not as good, and I don't think Rises. I'll say that. I'm not going to reveal what I think of the last two, Dawn and War, but yes, this one gets full marks. You know, it is an absolute masterpiece for me. I love everything about it. You know, even the score by Jerry Goldsmith. It's just a stunning score. You know, great composer, and you know, it really adds the atmosphere and the wonder to the film. And yes, you know, an absolute masterpiece, and it gets 100%. It doesn't quite get into my plus tiers, but yes, this really is a flawless film. Apart from that, you know, mad laugh, you know, but that's, you know, it's not a massive thing really. It's just one moment. You know, it lasts for about 10 seconds or so, and yeah, you know, it is. You can explain it. It's just a bit too over the top, you know, in the context and the kind of the way the rest of the film up to this point was very, very subtle, kind of thing. But yes, this film is an absolutely remarkable film. Definitely on my favourite films list. It always has been, you know, kind of thing. You know, it's not in my plus tiers. You know, it doesn't go that far, but it is really a pretty much flawless masterpiece. I loved all the characters. Just you know, it fuels my imagination. The creativity of it all. This film, you know, the ideas, so original, so genius, really. And you know, the execution is really quite perfect. It could have been a really, really bad film, you know, and it wasn't. It was a stunning one. You know, it's of course one of the most popular sci-fi films, and for me, yeah, it is one of the best. Definitely among them. You know, I still, you know, it's not the best film that year. Definitely not. You know, actually, two films are for sure better than that. Once Upon a Time West and 2001: Space Odyssey. But yes, I can't compare it really to 2001. But you know, this film, it is a stunning film. It's a science fiction film. It's among the best for sure in cinema. It's got one of the best endings of all time, and just this whole narrative. You know, it just very, very. You could say both the beginning and the end are very, very subtle, nuanced, and kind of yeah, you know, very, very just calm. In the way that kind of there's not as much action and everything, but the ending, of course, you know, is just a disturbing kind of subtlety to it. It's not, you know, an explosive ending, but it is one where, you know, the reveal and the way that it happens, you know, and the context of it and everything, and just the fact that there's no music as well makes it even more disturbing and effective, and just kind of the subtlety there is really what makes the ending just one of the best as well. You know, it really is stunning, and Charlton Heston is a legendary actor in this film. All the rest of the performances are great as well, you know, and just Zeus is a kind of great villain. I loved Cornelius, of course, and Zira. You know, I loved the relationships that happen there, and just the way that they kind of side with Charlton Heston's character of Taylor, you know, throughout the film, and just what happens there. You know, how it, you know, culminates. Is so confident and just it's a bold way to end a film, and it just works perfectly. You know, I really have no flaws with this apart from that laugh. But again, you know, it's just the one moment, and it just, you know, it's not you know, horrendous or anything. It is just, you know, a bit weird. That's it. So yeah, absolutely love it, and find out if it's the best one for me, if it's my favourite. You know, I've already said, of course, there's only two films that I'll say that, you know, I'm not going to say. But the rest of them, you know, this is definitely better than, you know, I'm not going to reveal about Dawn and War. I just want to keep that a surprise, but yeah, you know, it's clearly better than Rise, you know, for me anyway, personally. And yeah, you know, I look forward to reviewing the rest of the films, and this one gets a full marks, and yeah, stunning film, one of the best science fiction films, and yeah, wonderful. Highly recommend it, you know, if you've not seen it, and stunning film, and yeah, thanks for watching my review.